turn our attention to this weekend's big games, and we'll go to the match of the round on paper. It's going to be an absolute belter, and it's hard to see which way this one's going to go, but it is the Bombers and the Redbacks over at Riddle Reserve. This is going to be a really tight contest.
It is, and this one was a hard one to tip. I looked at this match go, very hard one to tip. Both sides have been pretty consistent. They've had their moments where they've had some good wins, but they've probably fallen just short against some of those top sides. So it's a good battle for these two sides that are both looking to play finals. If both sides have got their full teams on the court, I think it'll be a pretty close match.
Who do you think will win?
I tip Riddle.
Yeah.
I think Beck Caldwell at the moment she's unstoppable. So Monique Clark's going to have a hard job there in goal defence for Romsey. I think she's probably the key to this match, and I think probably at the other end for Riddle you've got your likes of Lauren Close, so she's probably going to be on a Chelsea Ross or a Bronwyn Blair up the other end. So it's probably your experienced players in both of these sides that will make a difference.
Chelsea's been in some prominent form as well this season, having taken on the main shooting roles in 2018.
It is, and look, she was brilliant in the final series last year. I saw her play against Lansfield, and I saw her play in the grand final, and I thought she was brilliant in those final series last year. And she's just taken another step up. Obviously played at that higher level. I know she's played VNL before, and she's just taken on that leadership role, and is going really, really well for them.
Yeah, so we're both jumping on the Riddle bandwagon, but in a very close one. Another important game, we've got Macedon taking Broadford. We did find out information during the week, last week, that one of the star shooters in the competition unfortunately will not be playing for the rest of the season.
Obviously, yeah, we've both heard from separate sources that Amelia Brock has had a knee injury, and unlikely, I've heard unlikely, you've heard that she won't be back for Broadford this season. So you take the best player out of any single team in that competition, it's going to hurt, and that's going to really hurt for a young side that was starting to build, and she was a key plank of that.
Particularly when you're a shooter that's shooting over 90% every time you go out onto the court.
Exactly, and that's the thing. You look at that, you've got someone with such a high volume and such a height as well. There's not a lot of defenders who are as tall as her, so she's a hard matchup and obviously going to really hurt Broadford. Yeah,
well, hopefully for Broadford, Millie does come back into the fold in 2019, and the girls that are playing there this year, they can start to learn some things and start to get a bit of a gel together and hopefully improve on this year's performances.
And that's it. For this side, it's about getting back on that. They've got back on the court. They've got a good coach out there in Ash Chapman, so they're only going to build, and obviously they're going to face a tough ask against Macedon, who is undefeated at this stage and still my premiership favourites. The Cats haven't been playing brilliantly, but I know speaking with Kira Stewart, their coach, he said it's not about the win. It's not about the wins. It's not about everything. It's making sure they're getting their right for finals and doing everything right. So look, they probably will be missing Chelsea Kemp, who did hyperextend her knee midway through the interleague game, so that's an out for them. But obviously, if she's going to miss a game, you probably want to miss in one against the lower sides than one that's towards the top of the ladder.
Exactly. Macedon will be too strong in this one. Wallen versus Melton Centrals. I'm finding it really hard to read where Centrals are at this year. I know they didn't have the best preparation heading into 2018. And their form has sort of dropped off. They've got still some good talent in there. When you've got Beck Moorabool, who is flying on the back of a great weekend's performance. We know Wallen, they're probably the surprise packets of the competition. They've showed a lot of great form.
Look, Wallen has been really, really good. I've been impressed with them. They've shown, if they're not winning, they've been in every single game. So they've got a lot of young talent on that court. They've got quite a few VNL players. I know that they had a couple of them playing the Northern Netball League interleague match on Friday night. So and one of their players ended up getting best on court. So I think there was two Wallen players in that one. Beck Caldwell was another one in the Northern Netball League interleague side as well. So obviously didn't play for us, but we're still getting their netball on the weekend. And you've got the likes of that. And then you've obviously got Melton Centrals. Their biggest concern is accuracy.
Yep.
They have struggled all season in accuracy, and it's cost them dearly. I think they've won one match or possibly two, and they've had a draw.
Yeah,
but they have shot terrible.
Yeah.
And that's what I think. Their last game, they shot at under 50% for the game. So you won't win many games with that.
And Wallen itself, playing at that venue, it can be very hard for shooting on a slightly windy day.
It is exactly that. The one thing Centrals do have in their favour, they do have a very, very experienced goal attack, Beck Moorabool, and we saw when she's shooting well, she can really fire, as we saw in the interleague.
Yeah, she's winning games for their competition.
Winning game, and look, I saw them playing round one, and Beck kept them in the game against Rockbank, and if they had hit their goals, they would have won. But Beck, I thought, was clearly best on court that day. So obviously, if they're hitting goals, it makes it a different story. But you can't go past Wallen.
Speaking of Wallen, I'm just going to throw a little something out there because we've got the opportunity to do so. But I like this, and you being a journo, I like the idea of Wallen coming back into the competition, getting a new coach who has had Australian experience, build a whole new list, and then on the last day of the season, they're carrying the Premiership Cup. I would find it very hard to find a greater success story than that in the competition, given where that netball component of the club has come from.
Obviously, it would be a fairy tale story if they did that. Look, I think there's a long way to go and a lot of experienced sides that they've still got to face yet. Obviously, they haven't been able to beat your top side, so they lost to Macedon, which was a clear one there. Probably experience is probably the one thing where we see with them, they're still a new side forming together. If they can get that with their young group and take it all the way, that would be massive.
Yeah.
But I think still a long way to go.
Exactly. But they're ticking the right boxes. We're not just pumping them, but realistically, they are showing some really good signs there that it makes them worth watching.
Oh, definitely. They're definitely a side to watch, and I think they will be, if not playing finals, definitely in the finals mix.
Exactly right there. Woodend, Heskett and Diggers Rest.
This will be interesting. I think Diggers Rest, we were impressed with really, really early on. They started really well, and then they've lost the last 2 weeks to Macedon and Rupert's Wood. So they've had moments in both those games. They did lead at half-time against Macedon, and then the Cats switched in that second half. So it's going to be interesting. I expect them to bounce back there. They've got a good lineup, but I think it's still about getting those connections right, because they are a fairly new side. I think they've got 4 new players in that starting 7.
Yeah.
That makes a big difference. So it's about making sure getting all those connections, so they'll be wanting to win against the Hawks, who we all know are a young and developing side. Obviously, they had several players in the under-17 and in the under-17 netball team on the weekend for the league, and they had a lot the weekend before in the interleague. So they have got players across the board that are stepping up. They're probably 2-3 years away from being a really competitive side, but I think for them it's just about making sure they're trying to reduce the margins from these sides they lost against last year.
Exactly, and they are easily the youngest side in the competition. There is, I think most of the girls are sort of under the age of 20, so that says a lot about that. I mean, speaking at a VNL level, I know the Sovereigns, who have a lot of local representatives from that, their division, their championship side is the youngest going around at that level. So it's good to see a group of young girls, whether it be at a VNL level or this level, to be able to sort of gel together, play against some good teams and really improve their netball, because this is the way we can start to see champions really start to grow.
Exactly, and it wouldn't surprise me we start seeing some of these young Woodend girls going through your VNL system and getting their opportunities at that higher level, because there is quite a lot of talent up at that club.
Exactly right. Speaking of talent, we've got a bit in this last game we'll cover. We've got Rupert's Wood and Rockbank. Rockbank are showing some great signs. They are.
They've been a little bit up and down.
Yep.
That's one thing. So
we expect that, though.
You expect that. They have improved on last year. They've started to win matches against sides they haven't been beating, or they got Melton Central's first time they've ever beaten Melton Central's in A grade. So they're starting to show that. Obviously, Rebecca Hicks played in the interleague. I think she only played the 1 quarter, but it's a good experience for her playing with some of their best players in the competition. So they've got a tough ask this week against Rupert's Wood, who has been really impressive this season. Yeah,
you're definitely right on that one there. And Rupert's Wood, they will go into this one as favourites. But it's not going to be an easy contest for them, and I hope for the sake of the competition that the Rockbank probably get within the 10 to 15 goal margin at the very least. I think it'll be good for the competition.
It will be good for the competition. I think Rupert's will win by a bit more.
Yeah.
I was quite impressed what I saw from them a couple of weeks ago against Diggers Rest, who I rate higher than Rockbank at this point in time.
Yep.
But obviously for the Rockbank, it's about being competitive and making sure they're taking it up to these top sides. They're on the up, but obviously I think Rupert's Wood is a better side than they were last year as well. So you've got both sides better sides than last year. It's whether Rockbank can close the gap or not.
Yep. And in terms of the fixturing this week, I'm pretty sure, I'm hoping this is the first of hopefully 2, because I'm not sure of the fixturing going ahead in advance. But with Sunbury Kangaroos and Lansfield scheduled to play off in senior football, and both teams not having A-grade netball teams, no one has to travel outside the normal game times for the first time this year.
It is, and that makes it. I think every club that's had to go between 2 locations would be pretty happy with that. So obviously we'd love to see both Lansfield and Sunbury Kangaroos with A-grade sides, but unfortunately that's not the case. But I think all these other ones, it sort of gives us a true idea of where they are with their fixture compared to everything else. So
exactly right there. Well, Tara, thanks so much for joining us on this week's edition of the RDFNL Netball Show. Thanks to Ontime Delivery Solutions, and we look forward to catching up on all the excitement from this weekend next week.
Thanks for having me.